The rain outside was heavy enough to drown out a scream, but it couldn't drown out the thud of blood drops hitting the linoleum floor. Sylvia Harper watched the boy collapse against the 1211 diner's glass door, his white shirt soaked crimson, his child's hands leaving red smears on the window. "Get that bleeding brat out of here," Miller's voice exploded from the kitchen. Her manager's face twisted with fury and fear. "That's a gunshot wound. You let him in. You're fired." Sylvia looked at the clock. 2:13 a.m. 9 days until eviction. Negative $37 in her account. Then, she looked at the boy's lips, forming one silent word through the glass. "Please." Her hand moved to the lock. What Sylvia didn't know was that the blood on her uniform belonged to the son of the city's most feared crime lord, or that Ye-Jun Kim was already tearing the streets apart, looking for that boy, or that when he found his son, he would also find the waitress who risked everything to save him, the woman who would become untouchable in his world of violence and power. Before we dive in, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, because what happens next in this rain-soaked parking lot? Let's just say Sylvia's about to make a choice that will haunt her forever. And if you're the type who walks past someone in need, you might want to skip this one. But if you stay, hit that subscribe button. You'll want to see how this ends. 4 hours earlier, Sylvia had clocked into the smell of burnt coffee and Miller's shouting, the 1211 diner, at 10 p.m., was a graveyard dressed in flickering neon, where the only customers were insomniacs, drunks, and people with nowhere else to go. She understood them. She was one of them. Her feet ached in shoes held together with duct tape. Her pink uniform, faded from countless washes, hung loose on a frame that had shed 20 pounds since the accident. Since David died. Since the hospital bills devoured their savings and the life insurance company found that convenient clause, that microscopic loophole that meant accidental death, didn't cover a man who'd had a beer before getting behind the wheel. Never mind that he wasn't drunk. Never mind that the truck that hit him ran a red light. She'd been a different person then. Sylvia Martinez, soon-to-be nurse, engaged to a man who made her laugh, living in an apartment with actual furniture instead of milk crates and hope. That woman died the same night David did. What remained was Sylvia Harper. She'd taken her mother's maiden name, as if changing her identity could outrun the debt collectors, a ghost in polyester, serving coffee to other ghosts at $3 an hour, plus tips that barely covered bus fare. Miller emerged from the kitchen, his perpetual scowl deepening. "Table 7 needs ketchup, and the men's room toilet is backing up again. You're on it." "That's not in my job description." "Your job description is whatever I say it is, unless you'd rather update your resume?" She swallowed the response burning on her tongue. 9 days until eviction. She needed 9 days of shifts, 9 days of swallowing her pride, 9 days of survival. Then she'd figure out the rest. She always did. The rain started just after midnight, turning the parking lot into a mirror of blurred headlights and oil slicks. Sylvia watched it through the window as she wiped down the same counter for the 100th time, her reflection ghostly in the glass. 32 years old and looking 50. When had that happened? That's when she saw the boy. The bell chimed, and Sylvia's world tilted sideways. Do-Yun stumbled through the door she'd unlocked, collapsing against her with a weight that seemed impossible for someone so small. His blood soaked warm and immediate into her uniform, spreading across the pink polyester like a blooming rose. Up close, she could see he was younger than she'd thought, maybe 12, maybe 13, with delicate features and skin pale as porcelain beneath the grime and rain. "Please," he whispered, his accent precise, each syllable carefully shaped, despite the pain that made his body tremble. "They're coming. They'll kill me if they find me here." Not the broken English of a street kid, not the rough grammar of someone raised hard. This boy spoke like he'd had tutors, like someone had spent years teaching him to enunciate properly, to choose his words with care. Sylvia's hands moved automatically, checking his wounds. The worst was a graze along his ribs. A bullet had kissed him there, tearing through fabric and flesh, but missing anything vital. His shirt, soaked through with rain and blood, clung to his frame. She grabbed the hem to assess the damage and froze. Silk. Not cotton, not polyester, but genuine silk that probably cost more than her monthly rent. She could feel it even wet, could see the subtle sheen of quality fabric beneath the crimson stains. His shoes, scuffed and muddy, bore a designer label she recognized from magazine ads she couldn't afford to look at for too long. "What's your name?" she asked, guiding him toward the back hallway, away from Miller's line of sight. "Do-yun." His eyes, dark and intelligent, fixed on hers with an intensity that made her stomach clench. "Kim Do-yun. And you need to hide me now, or we're both dead." The way he said it, not panicked, not hysterical, but with the cold certainty of someone who'd seen death up close, made every hair on Sylvia's neck stand up. Just then, the manager's voice exploded from the kitchen. "What the hell is going on out there?" Do-yun's fingers dug into her arm. "Please." Miller's face went from red to purple when he saw the blood trail across his freshly mopped floor. "Are you out of your goddamn mind?" Sylvia positioned herself between Miller and Do-yun, her hands raised in a placating gesture that fooled neither of them. "He's hurt. He needs help. What he needs is to be someone else's problem." Miller pulled his phone from his pocket, his thumb already moving toward the screen. "I'm calling the cops. Let them sort out whatever gang garbage this is. He's a child. He's a liability." Miller's voice cracked with something that wasn't quite anger. Fear, Sylvia realized. And beneath it, something else, something calculating. His eyes flickered to the small television mounted in the corner of the kitchen, currently muted on the local news channel. "You know what I saw on the news tonight? $25,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of a missing person of interest in a gang-related shooting." The words hung in the air like poison. "You're not serious." But Sylvia's stomach dropped because she could see that he was, could see the way his gaze kept sliding to Do-yun, assessing, calculating. $25,000. That was 2 years of Miller's salary at this dying diner. "I've got a business to protect." Miller's fingers tightened on his phone. "Insurance won't cover damage from criminal activity. One stray bullet through that window and I'm bankrupt." But a phone call? A phone call could change everything. Do-yun's hand clutched at Sylvia's uniform, his young voice steady despite the fear in his eyes. "If you call them, the people who shot me will know where I am before the police arrive. They have people inside, everywhere." Miller hesitated, and in that hesitation, Sylvia saw her opening. "Give me until morning. Let me patch him up. Let him rest. If you call now, you're not getting him to safety. You're putting a target on your own back." "Morning?" Miller laughed, harsh and bitter. "You think those reward tips expire? I call now. The money's mine. You've got 10 minutes to get that kid cleaned up and presentable for when they arrive, or you can walk out that door with him and never come back." He was already dialing. Miller just sold out a child for $25,000, and honestly, some of you watching right now haven't even subscribed yet, like you're just here for the free story without giving anything back. Don't be like Miller. Hit that subscribe button. Show me you're not the type who takes without giving, because what comes next, those shadow men, are already at the door. Sylvia had shoved Do-yun into the storage closet, barely larger than a coffin, reeking of bleach and rotting mop heads, when the headlights cut through the rain. 2 sedans, black and sleek, pulling into the parking lot with the slow deliberation of predators who knew their prey had nowhere to run. Miller's phone call hadn't gone through. She'd yanked the landline cord from the wall socket the moment his back was turned, bought herself maybe 5 minutes before he noticed. 5 minutes that just ran out. The bell chimed. 2 men entered, water streaming from their expensive suits, their shoes clicking against the linoleum with military precision. They didn't sit, didn't ask for menus. The taller one, scar bisecting his left eyebrow, face like granite, surveyed the empty diner with eyes that catalogued every exit, every shadow, every potential hiding place. "Coffee?" Sylvia's voice came out steadier than her hands as she reached for the pot. "We're looking for someone." The second man, shorter but wider, built like a cement block with a pulse, pulled a phone from his jacket. The screen illuminated his face in cold blue light. A boy, 12 years old. Seen him? The photo showed Do-yun in better times, clean, smiling, wearing a school uniform that probably cost more than Sylvia's car. His eyes in the picture held none of the terror she'd seen minutes ago. Behind her, through the wall thin as paper, she could hear Do-yun's breathing. Shallow, controlled, too quiet for a child that age. "Haven't seen any kids tonight." The lie slipped out smooth as silk. "Just the regulars. They come, drink coffee, Leave. That's how it works here. Granite Face moved closer, his cologne expensive and suffocating. You sure about that? Because we got a tip that someone matching his description was seen heading this way. And see, the thing is, his smile never reached his eyes. We're very motivated to find him. His family's worried sick. Miller emerged from the kitchen, his face slick with sweat. Officers? Not cops. Cement block cut him off. Private security. Sylvia's blood turned to ice. Not cops meant no rules, no witnesses, no accountability. The storage closet door was 3 feet behind her. Do-Yun was 3 feet from execution. The shadow men left after 20 minutes of questions and veiled threats, but not before Cement Block slipped Miller a business card and a promise. You see the boy, you call. There's money in it for helpful citizens. Sylvia waited until their taillights disappeared into the rain before dragging Do-Yun from the storage closet. His face had gone the color of old newspaper, his breathing shallow and rapid. Shock was setting in. She worked fast, stripping away his ruined silk shirt in the employee bathroom, the fluorescent lights making his blood look black against porcelain skin. The first aid kit was a joke, band-aids and expired aspirin, but she made it work. Hydrogen peroxide to clean the wound, gauze wrapped tight enough to slow the bleeding, medical tape holding everything together through sheer force of will. Your father, she said quietly, cleaning blood from beneath her fingernails. The men said his family is worried. Why are people hunting you if your family wants you back? Do-Yun's laugh was hollow, too old for his young throat. Not all of my family wants me alive. What does that mean? It means my uncle thinks he should lead instead of my father. It means succession wars don't care about children caught in the crossfire. He met her eyes, and for a moment she saw past the boy to something harder beneath. My father is Kim Ye-Jun. You know that name? She did. Everyone in the city knew that name, even if they pretended not to. Whispered in alleys, printed in newspapers with words like alleged and suspected. Kim Ye-Jun, the ghost who ran half the city's underworld from shadows, so deep even the police wouldn't look. He's not just a gangster, Do-Yun continued, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. He's the man people call when they need someone to disappear. When governments need problems solved quietly. When he stopped, swaying slightly, he'll come for me. And when he finds out you helped me, he'll what? He'll own you. Forever. That's how my father works. A debt is a chain, and you just wrapped one around your neck. Outside, new headlights cut through the rain. Do-Yun just told Sylvia she's wrapped a chain around her own neck by helping him. And you know what? If you've been watching without subscribing, you've been taking this story without giving back. That's a debt too. Clear it, hit subscribe. Because what's coming through that door in the rain? It's not the police. And Sylvia's about to learn exactly what untouchable really means. Miller found the shoe in the hallway, a small designer sneaker, white leather stained rust brown with dried blood. Do-Yun had kicked it off in his panic, and now it sat in Miller's pudgy hand like evidence at a crime scene. His eyes went from the shoe to Sylvia, to the bathroom door where Do-Yun waited, and something ugly and triumphant twisted his face into a smile. You stupid, stupid girl. He turned the shoe over, examining the label. Balenciaga. You know what shoes like this cost? More than you make in 6 months. He pulled the business card from his pocket, the one Cement Block had given him, and his thumb hovered over his phone. $25,000, Sylvia. That's what your conscience is worth to me. Don't. She stepped between him and the bathroom, her voice low and dangerous. You call them, and you're not getting a reward. You're becoming an accessory to murder. They said they're private security. They're assassins. The word hung in the recycled air of the diner like a death sentence. That boy's uncle sent them. They're not bringing him home. They're making sure he never gets there. Miller's hand shook, but not from moral conflict. From fear. Fear of losing the money. Fear of the consequences. Fear of making the wrong choice in a situation where every choice was wrong. That's not my problem. I didn't ask for any of this. You brought him in here. You made this mess. And you're about to make it worse. No. Miller's voice hardened. I'm about to make it profitable. He raised his phone, dialing the number on the card. Outside, through the rain-streaked windows, Sylvia saw the black sedans they'd never left, just circled back, waiting in the shadows like sharks. The phone rang once, twice. Yeah, this is Miller from the 1211 diner, her manager said, his eyes locked on Sylvia with something close to satisfaction. About that boy you're looking for. He's here, right now. Come get him. Do-Yun appeared in the bathroom doorway, his face pale but resigned, like he'd always known this moment would come. It's okay, he said softly. You tried. Miller ended the call. They'll be here in 2 minutes. And Sylvia, you're fired. Sylvia didn't think. She grabbed Do-Yun's hand and ran. The back exit spat them into the parking lot where rain hammered down like bullets, soaking through her pink uniform in seconds. The fluorescent glow of the diner's open sign painted everything in sickly red and green, turning the night into a fever dream. Water streamed into her eyes, her shoes slipping on wet asphalt as she pulled Do-Yun toward the road, toward anywhere that wasn't here. The black sedans cut them off, headlights blinding, engines growling, doors opened in perfect synchronization. Granite Face and Cement Block emerged like specters, joined by 2 others, all suits, all guns, all cold professional death. End of the line. Granite Face's weapon appeared in his hand, matte black and enormous in the strobing light. Step away from the boy, lady. This doesn't concern you. Sylvia positioned herself between Do-Yun and the guns, her arms spread wide, her body a shield that wouldn't stop bullets but might slow them down. Rain plastered her hair to her skull, her uniform clinging to her frame, her breath coming in ragged gasps. No, you don't understand what you're protecting. Cement Block circled left, trying to flank. That kid's father is a monster. You save him, you're just putting another predator on the streets. He's a child. Her voice cracked but held. Whatever his father is, he's 12 years old and bleeding. You want him? You go through me. The 4 men exchanged glances. Behind her, Do-Yun's fingers dug into her soaked uniform, his small body trembling against her back. Your funeral, Granite Face said, and raised his weapon. Sylvia closed her eyes. The shot never came. Instead, the roar of an engine, massive, powerful, expensive, cut through the rain. A black sedan, longer and sleeker than the others, rolled into the parking lot like a hearse. Every hitman froze. Every gun lowered. The back door opened, and a man stepped out into the rain. Ye-Jun had arrived. Sylvia just put her body between a child and 4 guns. She gave everything when it mattered. Meanwhile, some of you are still watching without subscribing, taking this story, enjoying the tension, but not giving back. Don't be that person. Hit subscribe, because Ye-Jun just stepped out of that sedan, and what he does next will change everything. You don't want to miss this. Ye-Jun Kim moved through the rain like it dared not touch him, though his black leather trench coat gleamed wet in the neon glow. He was tall, lean, with the kind of face that belonged on ancient coins, sharp cheekbones, a jaw cut from marble, eyes so dark they swallowed light, but it was the way he moved that made Sylvia's breath catch. Not rushed, not aggressive, just inevitable, like a blade falling. The hitmen scattered like roaches, dropping their weapons, hands raised. Mr. Kim, we were just retrieving my son for his uncle. Ye-Jun's voice was soft, almost gentle, which made it infinitely more terrifying. I know, he called me, told me where to find the traitors in my organization. Granite Face's eyes went wide. No, we would never. The shot was surgical. 1 bullet, center mass, and Granite Face crumpled like wet paper. Ye-Jun hadn't even looked at him when he pulled the trigger, his eyes fixed instead on Sylvia and Do-Yun. The other 3 hitmen ran. They made it 6 steps before more cars materialized from the darkness, more men in suits, Ye-Jun's men, cutting off every exit. The parking lot became an execution ground, efficient and silent, except for the rain. Through it all, Ye-Jun walked toward Sylvia, his weapon lowered but not holstered, his expression unreadable. Upper! Do-Yun tried to break free, but Sylvia held him back, her arm locked across his chest. Stay behind me, she whispered. Ye-Jun stopped 3 feet away, studying her with the intensity of a surgeon examining a specimen. You're holding my son. Prove you're his father. Her voice shook, but her grip didn't. Prove you're not another one of them. Something flickered across Ye-Jun's face. Not anger, something closer to surprise. He crouched slowly, meeting her eyes at her level, rain streaming down his face. When he spoke, His voice carried the weight of kingdoms. Do-yun has a birthmark, left shoulder blade, shaped like a crescent moon. His favorite food is tteokbokki, but only if I make it. And his mother, his voice cracked, just barely. His mother died bringing him into this world, which means he's all I have left. Do-yun broke free, launching himself into his father's arms. Miller's screaming brought Sylvia back inside, where Ye-Jun stood in the center of the diner, like a king surveying conquered territory. Two of his men held Miller between them, the manager's face slick with tears and snot. "Please, I didn't know. I swear I didn't. You called assassins to murder my son for $25,000. Ye-Jun's voice held no anger, which somehow made it worse. He turned to one of his men. "What's this establishment worth? Property? Maybe 200,000. Business is failing, owners underwater on the mortgage. Buy it. Tonight. Cash offer. Non-negotiable." Ye-Jun pulled out his phone, made a single call, and Miller's fate was sealed in under 3 minutes. "Congratulations. You're fired. Security will escort you out. If you're still in this city by sunrise, they'll escort you to the bottom of the river." Miller collapsed, dragging himself toward the door as Ye-Jun's men released him. Sylvia watched him go, feeling nothing. Not satisfaction, not pity, just the hollow realization that this was justice in Ye-Jun's world, absolute and final. Ye-Jun turned to her, his dark eyes assessing. "You risked your life for my son. In my world, that creates a debt. I don't want money." "I'm not offering money," he gestured to Do-yun, who sat wrapped in a blanket one of the men had provided, his small face exhausted but alive. "I'm offering you a position. Do-yun needs someone who will protect him when I cannot, someone who will put his life before profit, before fear, before their own survival. You've already proven you're that person. I'm a waitress. I'm not qualified. You stood between my son and 4 armed men with nothing but conviction. You're the most qualified person I've ever met." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "Your debts, medical, personal, all of it gone. Your housing secured, your future guaranteed. In exchange, you become part of my household. Untouchable, protected, his." Through the window, Sylvia saw flames beginning to lick at the diner's exterior. Ye-Jun's men were already torching the place, erasing Miller's legacy like it had never existed. "Do I have a choice?" she whispered. Ye-Jun's smile was sharp as a knife. "You always have a choice, but only a fool would choose poverty over power." He was right. God help her, he was right. And that's how a waitress became untouchable. Sylvia traded her old life for power, protection, and purpose, because she chose to act when it mattered. If this story moved you, if you felt something watching her stand in that rain, then prove it. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, because stories like this, they only survive when people like you choose to support them. Don't just take, give back. That's how you become untouchable too. I'll see you in the next one.